So 2024 is coming to an end right on the final new moon of 2024, which is a Capricorn new moon, 9 degrees of Capricorn. And we'll get into the energetics of the new moon. Just wanted to talk briefly on the connection with the end of the calendar year and astrology, and if there is any sort of connection or lineup all together. So we're at the 9th degree, so the 9th day of Capricorn. 9 days ago we were in the solstice. Solstice has significance. It's when we're moving from, in the southern hemisphere, we're having our longest day, in the northern hemisphere is the shortest day, and we're moving back towards our winter in the south and the summer in the north. So, you know, the 21st, 2nd of December, when we move into the solstice, astrologically, energetically, very significant. We're at the 31st day of December. December is the 12th month in the calendar year, but given the 10th number. And if there are 12 signs of the zodiac and 12 months a year, why is December given the 10th number? Well, because January is the 11th and February is the 12th, and moves us into March would be the 1st. So the 22nd of March, when the sun moves into Aries on the tropical zodiac, we have the equinox, equal day, equal night. So the solstice and the equinox are sort of markers of time from an astrological perspective. So really, when we get to a calendar transition from 2024 to 2025, there's not much astrological significance. However, because in this construct called the matrix, embedded in the collective consciousness and unconscious is this understanding or idea of how we measure time, days, weeks, months, and years, then energetically there is some significance to the transition of this, fictitious date or time, because of the weight in which we give it and this belief within this system. And it is a system. And I had a friend, a very dear friend, tell me the other day that, and I'll paraphrase what she said in relation to what she sees New Year's Eve being, it's paying subscription to another year of 3D paradigm. And I thought that was very apt to describe, New Year's, right? Hey, it's a new year. Yeah, according to who though? Astrologically, it's not a new year yet. That doesn't begin until the 22nd of March, 2025. So, interestingly though, we do have on the final day of 2024, which has been an interesting year, a Capricorn New Moon, 9 degrees of Capricorn. And this new moon is a square and a half, or a sesqui-square, to the planet Uranus retrograding in Taurus. So there's Earth energy. And this is the confrontation with the old outdated modes of control, systems of governments and structures that we're trying to liberate ourselves from and free ourselves and individuate from. But in doing so, we're confronting our fear of the detachment of the security that we have gained from such a system. So, it creates a little bit of agitation and instability. And that could sort of be understood energetically to embed a little bit of the big picture perspective of 2025. As the old structures crumble and our dependency upon them decreases, things get chaotic. And the more attached you are to those old outdated systems, control, the patriarch, the more instability you can face, the more uncertainty. So now is the time with a Capricorn new moon. We have Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, in Pisces. And Pisces is a very spiritual sign. It's about, trust and faith and transcendence and letting go and surrender. And it's about, our spiritual connection. So Capricorn, discipleship. The word discipline is where we derive the word disciple. And, to become the disciple, the spiritual disciple, to live a spiritual life, isn't to go off and do yoga and meditation and breath work and ice baths. These are just practices that help you maybe connect to, different aspects of self and transform and work and heal and those types of things. But to live a spiritual life is to become conscious of your spiritual light and to allow your spiritual light to shine. And in order to do that, you must take radical responsibility for yourself, and you must become solely the authority of your life. You have to detach dependency on external forms of authority, systems, governance, and control. And that's been a big paradigm shift since 2020 in particular, right through till now. So that's going to continue in 2025, right through until the middle of the year, I see as the big climax of 2025, when we have all the outer planets, Pluto into Aquarius, Neptune into Aries, Uranus into Gemini, Saturn into Aries. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction is 0 degrees Aries. There'll be more on this to come. And there is a big shift, there's a change. You can feel that tense we're moving up to a crest, a crescendo, a peak moment. You know, we've got a lot of information, we've got a lot of things coming to light. You know, so Pluto in Aquarius is posing on this new moon, Mars in Leo, and that Mars in Leo is retrograding, and we've had in the Mars Leo retrograde story, Mars Cancer retrograde story, going from March right through until April, May next year. We've had a lot of the fuckery and the shit that's been shadowed coming to light in relation to celebrities and those, the false idols that we have put up as this sort of, you know, place that we admire or inspire or desire to be like, right? And especially when we think of the old patriarchal system, it gives us these false idols, these false lights. What we're seeing as this old structure comes down is those that, you know, we, and I say we not as in us, but the collective has worshipped or idolized, and they're falling from grace. And it's happening in the music industry, in the spiritual industry, in the, you know, artistry industry, in Hollywood and those types of things. And we're seeing that come to light because what's happening as we, the people, discover our spirit within, and we allow that spirit, which is our light, to shine, we're no longer looking outside of ourselves to idolize or look up to or inspire us, you know, from these external false idols. We're finding that divinity and light within. In order to allow your divinity and light within to shine, you've got to be disciplined. You've got to be in control. You've got to, you know, you've got to commit to this process. And that commitment is what this new moon in Capricorn is about, is a commitment to your long-term goals and aspirations. And hopefully with Uranus retrograding Taurus in the final degrees of that sign as it's moving towards Gemini next year, hopefully we're able to let go of our goals and ambitions being attached to material objectives. You know, whether it's fame, whether it's money, whether it's wealth, whether it's houses, whether it's real estate, whether it's whatever. It's like, you know what, actually the goal is the soul. It's always been the soul, right? Coronavirus was the crown virus, to take your crown. They take your crown, they take your soul. So the fight has always been for your soul. How do you claim your soul and let your spirit animate your soul? You have to become the disciple. You have to be disciplined. You have to commit to this path. And you have to devote yourself. You devotee yourself, or an aspect of your life, or a part of it, a portion of it, a piece of it, for yourself and for your soul. Because that's the game that we're playing here. It's not about fame. It's not about control. It's not about popularity. It's not about wealth. It's about the soul. The real wealth is the wealth of the soul. And if you're able to connect to that soul within, align the human construct, the vehicle of the lower self to the higher self, and allow your spirit to animate that and shine, that's the game. And by you doing that in your life, you motivate and inspire for others to do that as well. Your light sort of activates those lights around you. So this is the time to sort of get really clear. I know it's New Year's. A lot of people are having New Year's celebrations, and that's fantastic. But maybe just take a little moment today to sort of pull back from it all, look at the big picture, look long term, and expand out from this life into lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of what we're doing here and where we're going and what the whole goal and mission of this is. It's for the soul. So maybe what you can do is make a commitment for 2025. And I've been telling my clients this for the last 2 months, is use the first half of 2025 to get your shit sorted. Get your fucking eggs in order, or, you know, what do they say, your ducks lined up, whatever it is. Because when we get into the middle of the year, sort of April forward, but peaking July, August, September, so on, we've got change. And are you prepared for that change? And the preparation, if you haven't already been doing that, and hopefully since COVID you have, but you've got now 3, 4, 5 months maximum to really prepare. And that doesn't mean you abstain. It doesn't mean you disconnect from reality. It doesn't mean you go and live in a cave. It means you integrate this understanding and this awareness and this long-term vision, this commitment for you to align to your soul and to let your spirit roar, and you set aside some part of your life, your time, your day for that. Commit to that. Become disciplined in that, and allow that to be the thing that is going to keep you stable and aligned and grounded as we get into 2025 And it's going to be a very interesting year of very significant changes, and changes internally, externally, everywhere around the world. Is it going to be good, bad, or indifferent? It doesn't really sort of matter whether it's going to be those things. It's going to be how you respond to that change. It's always the way, right? It's not what happens, it's how you choose to respond to what's happening. The more grounded you are, the more aware you are, the more aligned you are, the more disciplined you are, the more committed you are, the more have the clearer understanding of that bigger vision and mission of your soul, the more easily you can then choose a way in which you respond to these situations that are going on. Now, we also have the Saturn in Pisces at the moment, squaring to Jupiter into Gemini. And this can be a little bit of like information overwhelm. There's a lot going on. There's one thing after the next, after the next, after the next, and you just don't know where you're sort of looking and focusing your energy. So be mindful that where your attention goes, your energy flows, and what you're giving it to is growing. And that's what Jupiter and Gemini is about. Where you're giving your attention, those things are growing. And are you feeding and watering the things you desire that are helpful for you in your life, or are you feeding into the system? So 2024 for me personally was a big awareness and a lesson around that for me, in the sense of where my energy was going and the way in which I was directing it and what I was directing it to, and then what was I giving my energy to. So that's been my personal lesson of 2024 amongst other things, but that's what I've taken away from it, is like, well, I am in control of my awareness and what I choose to place my awareness on. So as we get into this next year, you have to be really conscious of your awareness and where it's going and what you're giving it to. And amplifying things that you don't like or want is going to grow those things in your life. So becoming very mindful of those things. Jupiter in Gemini right through until June, when it moves into Cancer. And that'll be a shift of that energy. Jupiter in Cancer is exaltation of Jupiter. And Jupiter is kind, caring and benevolent. It's giving, it's nurturing, in Cancer. So we're going to see a bit of a shift of that energy. Jupiter in Gemini is information overload, and we can get carried away and over exaggerate things and amplify stuff that's just noise. It's just information, so being mindful of that. Now, as we sort of round off 2024, it's a bit of a recap. When we're in Capricorn, we want to self-recognize. You want to self-recognize. You want to recognize where you've been, where you come from, where you started, where you are. You want to recognize the highs and the lows. And you want to be able to sort of take it easy on yourself and not put pressure and not have regret and not feel like, oh, fuck, I failed or I didn't do what I wanted to do. Okay, cool. So here we are. We've got a new moon in Capricorn, and it's recommit, right? Mars retrograde, reevaluate your path and recommit to some personal goal, right? Yes, you can take this energy and you can put it towards manifestation and your external goals and pursuits in this material world. Personally, I think a better use of this Capricorn new moon with Saturn in Pisces is a personal goal of spiritual attainment or spiritual relationship or a spiritual alignment. And what do I got to do? So, that's the game, right? There's a lot of information, there's a lot of rabbit holes, there's a lot of conspiracy, there's a lot of everything. Okay, well, if those things aren't leading you back to a spiritual life, then they're really useless in a way. Because that's the whole game here, as you wake up to that idea, is that we're spiritual beings in a human world. We don't have a soul. Our soul has a body, and we call that body Luke, or Rebecca, or Jane, or Cindy, or whoever, okay? So that body and that vehicle that I'm using to drive that body, my identity, right, that is for my soul to express itself. And when you wake up to that realization. What are you going to do? Commit to your personal goals in 2025 and beyond. Because really, 2025 is the beginning. It's not the end. It's the start of the new sort of shift. Okay, and 25 to 27 in particular is going to be quite energetically unstable and chaotic, because that's what change represents. It's a shift. You have to let go. You have to detach. You have to allow the process of change to happen. The more attached you are, the more dependent you are on the structures, the system, the government, the control, the way it is, the matrix, and even the way the matrix can trap you, the more chaotic this ride will be. So pull back a little bit. Yes, enjoy another year, a calendar year. 2025 is a 9-year. It's a completion year. 2028, there's a lot of like infinity looping back on itself. Do we loop back, or do we break free? Do we reset to the beginning, or do we evolve out? We either repeat or we evolve, and the choice is yours. if you're becoming aware of this choice and you have the ability to exercise your authority to commit to your personal growth and your soul's aspirations, now is the time to become a little bit aware of that, and then go get fucked up and get pissed or stay up till midnight and do whatever you want to do in your lower self, let it fly. But recognize that when that's all said and done and we move forward into New Year, have you made a small commitment to your spiritual growth, to your soul's evolution? Are you allowing your human vehicle to align to your soul's desire? Because when it's all said and done, the soul is going to win. It's whether you can claim that soul now and live on with it, or whether you perish and allow some other entity, system, AI, government, control, reset, whatever, to take ownership of it. That's what the game is about. Happy New Year. Thank you to all my followers. My following grew in 2024. I had a lot of in-person sessions. I had a lot of online sessions. I did live events this year, which were amazing. I've packed on a little bit of weight in the last month or two of this year. Survived a near-death, my second near-death experience of my lifetime. A lot of realizations, revelations, a lot of re-evaluating as a result. So, committed to expanding this journey and supporting you guys through it in 2025. As always, thank you from the bottom of my heart to each and every one of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everyone that supported and everyone that sort of gave me shit and held me accountable. I appreciate every single one of you. I'm ready for the next calendar year to begin, but really from March forward is where it really kicks off. So use this next 3 months to lead up into the equinox to really get prepared. And I'll see you on the other side. As always, peace fucking out. Yeah.